Good morning, guys. I'm back. It is Tuesday morning. It is a frightfully cold and stormy morning. So I already need to apologize for the noises you hear in the background. That's wind, that's rain, that's my little fan heater going because it is freezing and we do not have the luxury of central heating. So it is what it is. It's what I have to deal with. But yeah, I'm hoping that by now you have your two panels done, and we're going to join up our front section, our back section, our joints for the seams on the side so that we can make armholes. And for that, I'm placing a slip knot on my hook, and I've now told you already to make sure that your panels are facing each other in the right, with the right side of the stitches facing. I mean, you can go the other way, it's completely up to you, it does not matter, but just for my and I don't have OCD or anything like that, but because I'm a little bit pedantic, I just want things to look the same, and so that's just what I'm trying to do here. I've got my two panels facing each other, right sides facing each other, and I'm gonna head into my first stitch on this side and then on the stitch opposite, and I'm simply gonna do a slip stitch and then chain one. And that is how we're going to join these panels, with a slip stitch and a chain one. That is it. I'm using this pink so that you can just see the contrast. For my original dress, of course, I used the rust color to seam up the two panels. So it is still, I know that the edging is there, but if you look at the dress from afar, it's not a very noticeable seam. But I just love this seaming up method, or it's actually a border. But I love it. I think it just brings something extra to any project. So I'm quickly going to finish up here, slip stitching the sides together, chain one. That is all we're doing, and let me meet up with you when we're ready to do the end, or the end of this row. I've reached the end of this row. Oh gosh, I think there's some thunder rumbling in the distance, and I'm just placing my last slip stitch and then pulling that yarn through, snipping my yarn off. We just have those two tail ends to weave in, and now I'm going to do exactly the same for the back. And you can, if you want, flip it the other way so that you're seaming up in a similar fashion. Joining with a slip stitch in that first stitch and in the stitch opposite. Chain one and continue working. So seam up your front and your back in whatever fashion you like. This is just my preference. You could look up tutorials for flat seam joining. You can sew the panels together using your tapestry needle and some yarn. Do whatever you like. Honestly, I really feel that, well, I don't know if it's just me, but I love looking at different patterns or clothing items and then making them my own. I don't necessarily follow a strict pattern. My brain just doesn't work that way, and so I'm always tweaking stuff, whether I have a written pattern or whether I'm following a tutorial. I do what works for me. So, you know, if you're comfortable just following along and doing what I'm doing, great. If you're not and you're a little bit weird like me, then do whatever you like. For goodness sake, it is your dress. You're the one wearing it. You need to be happy and confident wearing it. So do whatever you like, make it your own, and just go for it. So that's the end of that seam. Yeah. And now we have what looks like a little poncho. This is what the seam looks like. I think it is so cute. I love this effect. Honestly, I love this effect. And now you can mark where you're going to be seaming up your sides and leaving your armhole. And that you're simply going to do by just lining up your clusters on either side. That should be easy enough. I'm going to leave this 1, 2, 3, and I think I'm going to add a stitch marker on this side, and then on that side. That will be my armhole. I think that's sufficient for me to show you how I did the armholes, sorry, the sleeves. And that's what I'll mark on the other side as well. We always try to be consistent. 1, 2, 3. Let's mark over here. And then seam up this side up until the armhole section in the very same manner that we did for our front and back panel. Where did you come out now? Goodness. Okay. So I'm not going to show you how to seam that up. You already know. You're simply going to join with a slip stitch at the bottom and then work that seam up. Okay, so I've seamed up both my sides in the very same manner as we did the front and back panels. Oh my gosh, the rain! It's actually scary back here. I can't even tell you. I hate stormy weather, honestly. I'm going to weave away these tail ends because they're just going to get in my way. So yeah, I forgot to say that I switched over to a 4mm hook for all of my seaming and joining. It's just easier to work into these stitches on the sides, and so that is what I did. And then yeah, you determine how wide or how large you want your armholes to be before you seam up. Of course, I suggest just throwing the panel over your head and then getting you know, pinching off how wide you want your armholes to be. Now you can make the armholes in the very same manner that we did for our panels by working them vertically, like working a, oh gosh, I'm saying it wrong, working a long length sleeve. In this style, your sleeve would look like that. My sleeves, however, are worked in the round. And so it looks like this is my neckline. This is where I joined my sleeve, and so it looks like my sleeve and dress pattern simply continues. That is the look that I went for. You can see this is where I joined for my sleeve. You can actually see the row of single crochet from the initial chain length on the side of the dress. So if this is not something you want to do, work your sleeve in the same way that we worked for the front panel. Just get your measurement. You're going to have to try on the garment because your shoulder your shoulder will be slightly off your arm, and so you might need a 16-inch long panel, or you might need an 18-inch long panel, depending on how far the shoulder drops off. So you need to take those measurements. I think I did only 16 inches for mine. I will make sure. Actually not 16 but 12 inches is what I did for mine, because my sleeve dropped quite far off my arm, off my shoulder, and so the entire length of the sleeve, counting that drop off, for me was about 18 to 20 inches, if I'm not mistaken. I forgot to note that actually somewhere. But yeah, the reason I did the sleeve this way was I could control the colors better. I could still do my 2 rows of each. So I would do my rust, my peach or green or whatever the cake color gave me, and then I could go in with this almost purple. I did my cake color again, I went into rust, my cake color, and then back to the purple, and that's just what I did. And so, and I wanted to end I'm sorry, I don't like this weather. I wanted to end my sleeve on the rust, and I knew that if I added another row of the peach, I would have to, you know, for my brain, I would have to do another row of this lilac purple before, and then another row of peach, and then only another row of rust, and then my sleeve would be way over my hand, and that wasn't the look I was going for. And so I simply stopped here because this made me happy, because the edging of my dress is in the same color, my neckline is in the same color, all of my joins and seams are in the same color. So that is how I wanted my dress to look. That was the overall look I was going for. So I'm going to quickly weave away these tail ends, and then we're going to work away our colors at the bottom of the dress by adding a row of single crochet, and then do our edging, the very same stitches we did for our seams. So let me meet up with you once I've woven away these tails. Okay, I'm back. I've woven away those tail ends just very quickly. They're not worked in very well because this is just a sample piece. And I want you to join in either of the corners. It doesn't matter left or right, but join in a corner, and join on the right side of the work so that you can see these the yarns that we carried up on the sides, and so that you can then be sure to work over them. So just in any of your corners, left or right panel, just work a slip stitch, chain 1, and then do a single crochet in the same stitch, and then simply single crochet in any space. You're not doing a stitch count as such, but I try to work a single crochet in every space that just presents itself to me. So like this is a double crochet, and I would then place 2 single crochet in there like so. That's 1, and then 2, covering that yarn that we carried up. I know that we worked double crochet on these rows, and so I will try to place 2 single crochet into each double crochet, and you'll see me catching the yarn, working through the stitch itself as best I can. That is all that you'll be doing. So work your row of single crochet, and then let's come back and do a border row of our slip stitch and chain stitch edging to finish off the bottom of your dress. I'm trying to work through the stitches for the most part. So that is what that looks like. I don't think that you can tell that we've had yarn carried up. So do your best. If you feel that you've added too many stitches, then go back, pull them out, and then just do the best you can. So let me meet up with you when this row is done, and then we'll join and then go into our border. Okay, I have done my row of single crochet, trying my best to hide all the yarns that we carried up on the sides, and now I'm simply going to join to that first stitch with a slip stitch. Chain 1, slip stitch again, chain 1, slip stitch into the next single crochet, chain 1. This is the border row. If you want to add a little bit more length to your garment, you can of course do a few more rows of single crochet before you add the border row, which is this slip stitch and chain 1 row. I think that could look quite pretty. I didn't feel the need to. My dress ended up the exact length that I intended it for. I'm going to be wearing mine as sort of a longer length sweater or top, if you will. I don't really do skirts and dresses, so mine will be for winter, to layer things, to wear as a top layer. So for me it will work as a longer length top, jersey, sweater, whatever you may call it in your part of the world. Yeah, so I'll always be wearing it with leggings or jeans or whatever the case may be, because I am a jeans and sneaker type girl. And yeah, I love those colors. I have the perfect sneakers that would match it, and I'm quite sure with this wet and cold winter we are experiencing, it will become a staple in my wardrobe. So let me finish up here, then we will head over to the neckline, which will again easy peasy, simple border of single crochet. Then if you can then try it on after you've done the single crochet, and if your neckline is too wide, you can then do a couple of decreases. I will show you how, and then we will end with this very same border stitch once again, and then on to the sleeves. So easy peasy, you will have a gorgeous dress to wear, to show off, to flaunt. So I hope you've enjoyed the tutorial thus far. Oh, I'm not enjoying this weather, I can tell you that for sure, but I'm trying to power through, and when I'm done here I'll go cry in a corner. I hate this weather. I cannot even tell you guys. This is a total ordeal for me to sit through. But I'm glad that I'm doing something to keep my mind busy, and I'm happy if you guys are happy. So let me meet up with you when I'm done in just a few seconds. I'm right back at the beginning, and I'm simply going to place a slip stitch there and snip off my yarn. That is it. Let me just show you what that looks like. So that is what our dress should look like, or should resemble now. Just a, what is this called? Is it an A-line dress? I don't know, because I don't really wear dresses, but that's basically all it is. There we go. Now if you had decided to do panels for your sleeves, 2 rectangular panels, then I would suggest not to close up the seam like you did in the beginning. Leave your sides open, do your sleeve panels first. I know that this part should have come before we did the seaming up, but that's if you wanted to work the sleeves in the same manner as we work the panels for the dress. So you would first work on your sleeve, then put it over your arm to find out if that is the width you want. Then you'd work your sleeve on, you'll seam your sleeve onto your side and then seam up your dress. I don't know if that makes sense, but this way, as it is now, we're simply gonna join in the seam and then work our seams, work our sleeves in the round. But before we get there, let's head on over to our neckline. Determine which side you want to be your front or your back, and they would be exactly the same. So honestly, it does not matter where you join in. And I'm gonna join just in this middle stitch with a single crochet, because again we're simply working single crochet around this neckline. It's a horrible bit of yarn. Single crochet. I try to place 2 single crochet in every double crochet on the side, basically same as we did for the bottom of the dress. Just place your stitches as best you can. Oh, it's becoming quite scary back here. And now over the shoulder you will have stitches to work in, so that's wonderful. Simply place your single crochet in the tops of your double crochet stitches there. In the corner I'm just placing 1 stitch. Now you will notice that we are not altering the shape of the neckline. We're not making it any smaller than it is. We are simply cleaning up these edges. That's all we're doing with this initial row of single crochet. And so if your neckline is too wide, and I did find that I didn't like the width of my neckline, so I brought it in with some decreases, and you can do as many or as few decreases as you want, because you will determine how wide you want your neckline to be. Almost to the beginning. Sorry, I didn't cut off this yarn ends very well. Right back at the beginning. I'm simply going to slip stitch to that first stitch, and now again, as I've said, determine whether you want your neckline to stay as is, or if you're happy with the width, then simply do now a row of the border stitches, which is your slip stitch and chain 1 stitches. If you want to take in the neckline ever so slightly, then do what I'm gonna do. I did for my neckline, let's just first start with 1 single crochet, 1 single crochet, and then 2 single crochet together. That's all I did. 2 single crochet and then a decrease of 2 single crochet together. 2 single crochet, 2 single crochet work together. That is all I did. So I'm gonna cinch up this neckline to show, oh, I didn't show you what it looked like before. So I'll show you the before and then the after. My apologies. So this is how wide my neckline is currently, and remember, this is a sample, so please don't take this as the gospel. You need to work on your neckline. I just want to show you the difference. So right now it measures 5.5 in the front, and now I'm going to be doing 2 single crochet followed by a decrease all the way around, and then we will measure again. I've just joined to that first stitch with a slip stitch, and let's measure again. And I've now taken this in with a full inch. We are now at 4.5 inches. If you need to decrease some more, if you want to bring it in some more, do exactly the same for another round, and then simply carry on and do your border. Slip stitch, chain 1, slip stitch, chain 1. Once you're satisfied with the width of your neck opening, add your little border, finish that off. I'm going to do this very quickly and come back. I've just joined with a slip stitch once I've finished my edging row. That is what our work should look like. What is this? Oh, it's a little tail end. Let's get rid of that. It's just spoiling the whole look. So I've just determined that this will be the front of the dress, and so I will weave those 2 tail ends away. But that is our neckline, and now onto the sleeves. I think I'm out of pink, you guys. I'm gonna do 2 rows with only the brown and the rust color, and then you'll be on your own to make your sleeve as long as you want. They are all going to be the same size. They're going to be the size of the arm opening that you've left for yourself. So let's do that. Let me get my yarn, and to keep the continuity going, I've got pink on this side, so I'm going to be joining with the rust color, and then onto the brown, and then I should then continue with pink once again, but I have no pink, so I'm switching back to my 5mm, and then I'm simply joining right here in the little seam, if you will. And you might need a smaller hook just to get through there, which is what I might do, just to get that initial single crochet going, and then stack another one on top. And now we need to place 2 more, because we are now simply going to be working clusters in the round, turning our work after every row. And you will notice from this seam that your next cluster is going into the bottom of the first cluster to your left. So there will be an opening in the single crochet there. That is simply where you will place your next cluster of 3 double crochet, which is why I wanted to do the sleeve this way. There's no thinking involved. You're not working in these large spaces. You're simply placing your clusters in the bottom of the clusters that's already there. So go ahead, work all the way around. I will meet you at the beginning. I'm almost at the beginning, and you will notice that because we're working into that row of single crochet, we're going to have a lovely sturdy join for the shoulder seam as well, which is what I really love. because I find that acrylic yarn does weigh a little bit heavier than most, and so I love that all the joins and seams that we did was done into a row of single crochet instead of just a normal chain, just to add a bit of sturdiness to our project. So I'm placing one last cluster, and then I'm joining to our very first double crochet with a slip stitch, and then I'm going to turn the work. So it's going to look like you're working on the inside of the garment, and you basically are, because we want to keep the stitches looking similar to what we've been doing. So all of our stitches will work the right side, and then we will turn around the work and have sort of the wrong side of the stitches looking at us. So that's going to be continued in our sleeve for continuity. So you can chain one and turn the work, that is fine. I don't find it necessary, but now I'm going to work straight into that. Okay, let me start this again. I've done a slip stitch to the beginning cluster, and now I'm going to turn the work so that we can work the other way. Remember, I do 2 rows of one color, and that is why this pattern worked beautifully for me. You may or may not want to do the same, and that is completely your business. So I'm going to work my normal slip stitch into that space, stack another one on top for my first double crochet, place 2 more double crochet for my first cluster, and then work our normal clusters into every space around till we're right back at the beginning, where we will then join with a slip stitch and join in our second color. I've placed my last cluster of double crochet, and I'm going to join with a slip stitch to the beginning. And since I don't have any pink, I'm simply going to snip off my yarn, because I will do 2 more rows with you in the brown, and you will then continue to make your sleeve as long as you like. I have simply run out of the pink now, and so I'm not going to bother. You're going to join in that same space where I snipped off my yarn. Again, you can keep carrying the yarn because it will be carried up on the inside of the sleeve, so you won't see it on the outside, or you can snip it off and then simply rejoin for a row of granny stitches. Remember, you are turning the work around after each row. So let me do these 2 rows, and then I'm going to add my edging in the rust color, because like I've said, I've now run out of pink, sadly, to do another row repeat with you guys. Okay, so I have finished 2 more rows of the brown, and I'm just going to count for you how many rows I ended up doing for my dress, sweater, dress, whatever. I did 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 2, 4, 6, 8, 20. I did 24 rows. Then I didn't do a row of single crochet. I simply did the border in the very last row with the same color that I ended on. So because you're working in the top of the double crochet stitches or clusters of double crochet, you don't need to set up a row of single crochet. You could just work your border stitches immediately. And again, switching over to my 4mm hook. If I had pink to finish with, I wouldn't need to join yarn now, but it is what it is, and I want you to see the join, so I'm simply going to join into any of the stitches trying to keep it in line with the seam under the arm. So just anywhere really, any stitch, it doesn't matter. Going in with a slip stitch, chain 1, and simply working our border of slip stitches, chain 1, slip stitch, chain 1. I'm just working over this little tail end as well. Right now I'm not gonna bother to weave him away. So again, if you're working your sleeve up in this manner, you get to control how long you want your sleeve to be. If you're working it in the vertical panel, you're going to have strict measurements before you start. So you're going to have to know how long you want your sleeve to be in order to work your chain length accordingly in your multiples of 3 plus 2, so that you can have your count for your row of single crochet and then your rows of granny stitches to follow. So that is my only suggestion I have. I do like to work any sleeve in the round rather than in the length, if you know what I mean. So that's just what I went with, and it worked out great for me. I'm right back to the beginning, and I'm simply going to slip stitch to join, cut off my yarn, show you what your dress should look like. You should then go ahead, do the exact same thing for the sleeve on the other side. I hope you can see the little border or edging. Weave away your tail ends and enjoy wearing your dress or sweater or crop top, whatever the length is you decided on initially to make this garment. It's all I'm going to call it, is a garment, because you get to make this as long or as short as you want depending on your initial chain length. So guys, I just want to thank you for spending another day with me. I am sorry about the weather. It's the one thing I cannot control. But I do hope that you've had fun making this very much inspired by the lovely Taylor Swift dress, and that you join me in my next tutorial. Although I don't actually know what I'll be making next. I did make a ruffle hat for someone in the week and in last week, and so I came up with my own pattern for it, because everything online, we don't work with the same yarns, and so I had to size down a lot and the stitch counts wouldn't work, and so I came up with my own basic beanie and then worked my ruffles into that. So I might do a tutorial for my ruffle hat, depending on how I feel and depending on how long this awful weather lasts. I didn't want to film today because it's extremely noisy all around the house currently, but I did want to finish this dress for you guys because I did promise it. So guys, I will see you in my next tutorial, whatever that may be, or leave me some comments and suggestions and I will see what I can come up with for you guys. So see you guys in the next one. Bye bye.